I apologize for the curse word or words on today's podcast episode, but I'm warning you in advance. There's only a couple of them, so don't get crazy over it. But the reality is I'm hearing this a lot. As we come to the end of another tough year in business, we hear people telling me that I'm tired and I'm burned out. And my stance today is tough shit. You don't have the luxury of being burned out and tired and not in love with your business, man. People are dependent on you. You got employees who need you to do well and the business to do well, and vendors and clients, and hell, you got your family who's counting on you too. So I give you 4 steps on today's podcast that help you figure out how do you get re-engaged in your business and stop making excuses about why it's not doing what it's supposed to do for you, which is the reason why you're tired and you're burned out. The number one reason I have of these 4 is you got to build out your end game, man. You got to figure out how this whole business journey finishes. It's not about surviving one day after the next. It's about being on a roadmap, a game plan to how this thing finishes, and you're the one who gets to create that story of how it finishes. I hope you enjoy this episode. It's one of my favorite podcast episodes that we've ever done on driving success. Important though, you got to help us get the word out for the podcast. I need you to like it and share it and comment on it. Heck, there's 3.5 million truckers in the United States. We need a bunch of them to listen to this podcast or watch it on YouTube every week. And we could use your help by sharing it on social media. If you like it and you see one of our ads pop up or something about it, share it onto your stream if you don't mind, and tell people in the industry that there's a great new podcast that helps people run great transportation companies. We'd be grateful for that. We'll see you down the road.
Author of The Grit, author of You Need More Money, founder and president of Commercial Fleet Financing, it's Matt Manero. The Driving Success Podcast, powered by Commercial Fleet Financing.
Welcome to Driving Success Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Manero, where I come to each and every week from the studios at Commercial Fleet Financing in Dallas. The purpose of the podcast is to help transportation companies run great companies. We talk about business strategies on this. The idea is to get you from the technician, the driver, the greatest tow truck operator, to become the greatest CEO of a towing company. And on today's podcast, I will apologize in advance for a few of the cuss words that are about to fly, but I'm sick and tired of hearing what I'm hearing all the time. So here we go. The topic of the podcast today is called I'm Tired. Tough shit. I don't want to hear that you're tired. I don't want to hear that you're bored. I don't want to hear that you're sick and tired of hiring and firing and human resources and dealing with difficult clients. I don't want to hear that you're burned out in your business. You don't have the luxury of being burned out and being tired. People are counting on you, man. Your employees, your clients, your vendors, your family. They're counting on you to pull this thing out. This thing called the business that you started. Hell, they've all had enough pain. They're looking at you saying, where's the gain? And you answer with, I'm burned out. I'm tired. Dude, nobody cares. You got to win at this thing called business. You've got to stop telling people that you're tired and you're burned out, because it's a cop-out. It's an excuse. The reason you feel tired and burned out lives right underneath your nose. It's staring you in the face every day. You just got to have the courage to admit it. The reality is you don't trust your business. Deep down, you know that your business is built on shaky ground. The foundation is not strong and it scares you. So you allow yourself to use excuses to justify why it's not performing the way that it should, and therefore not throwing off the cash that it should and you need. Look, I have helped business owners fall back in love with their businesses. I've done it at Commercial Fleet. I'm doing it through burntheships.com, the other business that I'm involved in. And it's because I had to fall back in love with my business. I'm giving you 4 steps today on the podcast that are going to help you stop using this I'm tired excuse and fall back in love with your business. Here's tip number 1. Get sick and tired of being sick and tired. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to determine how long have you been in business? How many years have you been in business? Hard years, right? Probably. A lot of ups and downs? Probably. Not enough money spitting out for you and your family? Probably. So let's say that you've been in business for 5 tough years. I want you to see the next 5 years not changing. I want you to visualize the last 5 years being as difficult as they have been, and now I want you to go the other direction and see the next 5 years not changing. That should make you sick and tired of being sick and tired of this thing that you've created. And hopefully it forces you and moves you along the path to change. There is no reason to be in a business that you're sick and tired of for the future. Check the box. I busted my ass for the last 5 years and I need to do a few things. I got to make some changes so the next 5 years don't operate like the last 5 years. Number 2, get your values dialed in. You don't trust your business because you don't know what the next problem that is about to arise is going to be. You're running scared. You're saying to yourself, who's going to call out sick today? Who's going to require me to fire them? Who's going to do something wrong? What problem is going to happen when I get to the office today? The reason those things happen is because you don't have your value system dialed in, the core values that we've talked about on previous podcast episodes. I've said it before and I'll say it again. When you get your value system dialed in, both in your life and in your business, 90% of the shit that you're dealing with, the problems that you deal with will go away. The value system becomes the third party. That value system becomes the blamer. You are no longer the bad guy. The value system is the bad guy. So when you have the underperforming salesperson, and one of the values of the organization is company profits or expectations or delivering great service, and the salesperson is no longer generating company profits or meeting expectations or delivering great service, you're not the bad guy. The value system is the bad guy. And the salesperson gets taken over to the board that's in your office and, hey, listen, buddy, see that core value number 1 that says like company profits? Man, we're not making much money on you. It's a little bit of a problem for us. What are we going to do about it? You're not the jerk anymore when you get the value system. The value system becomes the foundation in which your decisions are made off of, your management is made off of, your hiring, your firing is made off of. You get your values dialed in, you'll begin to love your business again. Number 3, I want you to focus on what you do best, and I want you to hire other people to do everything else. If you are a great mechanic, I want you out of the sales force, and I want you to stop doing the books, and I want you to go back and start being the best mechanic in your organization. Run the shop. And go hire a sales manager and go hire a bookkeeper or a controller or a CFO to do the stuff that you suck at. And don't take that as a negative. We all fall victim of the Peters Principle. The Peters Principle was created by Dr. Lawrence Peter many years ago. He wrote a book called The Peter Principle. And it states we all in an entrepreneurial environment get promoted to our level of incompetence. Sooner or later, the founder of the company can't be great at all of the aspects required to run a great business. You become promoted to your level of incompetence. Maybe when you were doing 1 sale a week, you could handle the books. But now that you're doing 100 sales a week, you can't keep up with it. Why? Because you're not an accountant. You're not a bookkeeper. You're not good at that stuff. Maybe you were the number 1 salesperson in the organization, so you left and you started your own company and you kick ass at sales, but the accounting is falling and the efficiency is falling and shipments aren't getting shipped off the docks and manufacturing isn't getting done with great quality control. Why? Because you're a sales guy. I want you to go back to being what you're great at, and I want you to hire and outsource for everything that you're not. That will keep you in the zone every single day. And number 4, I put these in an order, but I'm not so sure that this is the exact order. You have to decide what the best order is. But number 4 is uber important. You got to build out your end game. You have to see how this whole business thing ends. Most people will spend more time planning their 1-week vacation than they will planning out their business career. I want you to think about that for a minute. You know it's true, man. Like you got the hotel dialed in, and you picked out your seats on the plane, and you even put like a little extra spending money in envelopes. Dave Ramsey told you to do it, right? He said Monday, put our 200 in this for Monday, and might be a little more on Tuesday, so we better put 250 in. And then if you go short on Monday, you got a little extra for Tuesday. You know that bullshit that Dave Ramsey talks about. But you did it. So you had all 7 days in an envelope, Monday through Sunday, right? And your wife was like, yeah, we're going to spend it all. And you're like, well, maybe we could go back on Sunday night with a little extra, right? You did that. You took the time to plan out the 1-week vacation. You have no idea how the end game plays out in your business. The question is, are you going to sell it? Are you going to hire an executive management team that runs it? Are you going to extract enough cash for you to put it in other investments so you don't have to ever worry about what happens with the business? You got to spend the time building out the end game, because the end game puts you on purpose. And when you're on purpose, you don't get burned out. You're on purpose. I mean, hell, if you had the cure for cancer, do you think you'd get burned out? You'd be on purpose shouting it from the rooftops and the mountain highs, telling everybody that you got the cure to cancer. Just do this and you won't be affected by cancer. If you have the cure of how to run a great business and help people make money and thrive, why would you be burned out? You're on purpose when you do these 4 steps. So the message as we finish today's I'm Tired, Tough Shit podcast episode of Driving Success is, go tougher on yourself. Do these 4 things that I just laid out for you. Get back dialed into the business. And when the tide begins to turn and you start to get more success and you begin to trust it again, and people feel empowered and they start to have their success because now they own their division because you're kind of in their way, the game changes. You begin to learn the language of business. And the reality is the language of business is pretty easy to learn if you spend the time to learn. It's just like learning piano or learning how to hit a baseball or learning how to hit a golf ball. If you don't do it, if you don't practice it, if you don't absorb yourself in it, you're not going to get great at it. So that's the challenge on the podcast today. Do these 4 things. Get reconnected to the business and fall back in love with it. We will see you all down the road.
Thanks for watching Driving Success, powered by Commercial Fleet Financing.